what's up? Hello, my name is Emma, and today I am bringing to you a new bookshelf challenge. I feel like in the last 6 months, there's been a bit of a resurgence in bookish challenges, which if you weren't around then was one of like the most iconic types of videos to make back in like 2014, 2015. And I always have so much fun not only filming, but also editing these types of videos. As a graduate student, I really have to cherish every ounce of joy I can get. So today I decided to make my own. I'm currently calling it the History of My Bookshelf Challenge. The whole idea behind it is that a lot of the times when you're doing these bookish challenges, especially ones that are timed, it's focused on physical attributes of the book, like the cover and the title. But I wanted to create one that was more about the memories and experiences we've had attached to those books. So I have 25 bookish prompts, and I'm going to scour my bookshelves and attempt to find a book to fill each of them. I'm also going to be timing myself to see how quickly I can find each book, and then I'll be sharing all of these stories I have attached to them. And an additional rule that I made for myself in one of my previous challenges is that I'm not able to choose like 2 books from one series to answer 2 different questions, like 1 book per series, and then they're done for the video. All right, I'm gonna start in 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So first is the oldest book on your shelf. I think all of my oldest books are on this childhood books shelf, and I think that Chasing Redbird or Stargirl is probably the oldest, but I'm gonna go with Chasing Redbird. So now I have like the next like 5 or 6 questions are a book you've read in 2013 to 2019. The books that I read in 2013 are either The Mortal Instruments, The Infernal Devices, or The Hunger Games. And so I think I'm going to go with The Hunger Games because I know I'm going to want to use a Cassie Clare book later for a different question. A book I read in 2014. I'm looking at The Darkest Minds, so let's just go with The Darkest Minds first. Okay, a book I read in 2015. Okay, this is where things get a little more murky. When did I read like a lot of mental health books in 2015, I think. I'm gonna go with Made You Up. So that one came out in 2015, so I think I read it then. 2016. These are like the blurry years. I feel like I could have read Stalking Jack the Ripper for like the biennial bibliothon 2016, maybe. We're gonna take that, and maybe I need to pick like an extra one just in case. 2017, I read a lot of contemporary in 2017, so something over here. I'm afraid I read History Is All You Left Me in 2016 because I read it early, but I think it came out, no, I read that in 2016. That would have been a good one. Now I'm stressing. What did I read in 2017? Bloodlines, maybe? Like, this is a really hard actually to remember which year I read each book. What I was in college in 2017. I don't know what. I went to Y'all Fest 2017, and I met Libba Bray, and I think I read Before the Devil Breaks You in 2017. We're gonna have to double check with Goodreads later. 2018. I should go with like release-wise, like what I enjoyed that year that came out. Did Nevermore come out in 2018? It's okay, it came out in 2017, but does that mean that I read it in 2017? I'm not sure. Wait, The Afterlife of Holly Chase, I read that in 2018, I think. Right? This came out in 2018? No, it came out in 2017, so that means I read it in 2017 too? So I just realized, not only did I read The Afterlife of Holly Chase once in 2018, I read it twice. What the heck did I read in 2018? Did The Cruel Prince come out in 2018? 2018. And did I read it early? No, I didn't. I listened to the audiobook. Finally. And a book I read this year. This should be easy. What books did I read this year? I read The Vanishing Stair this year because it's one of my faves. A book I've read more than once. I don't know if I want to sacrifice Harry Potter yet either. So, I've read Renegades more than once. I read Renegades twice. A book I waited over a year to be published. So this is going to be The Toll because it's right in my field division, and I have been waiting more than a year for it, for sure. Right? Yes. A book I read on vacation or away from home. This is the one that I want to use Harry Potter for, because I have very fond memories. A book I got from someplace special, so something that's not like your local bookstore or an online retailer. I'm gonna go with a book that I got in Paris. What's next? A book that made me cry. A book that made me... Oh, I was gonna use The Darkest Minds for this one. Dang it. This is why planning doesn't matter in these challenges. A book that made me cry. Did I cry in Evelyn and Daisy? I'm not sure if I did or not. I don't know. Do I use the Mortal Instruments? Because I know I've cried in those books. Yes. Fine. We're sacrificing it now. A book I associate with a certain food. I have the best answer for this one. I'm so excited to tell this story. It's so weird and random. A book I read in one sitting. Okay, I wrote this question, but I honestly don't know if I have like ever actually read a book in one sitting. So I think I might... Oh, haha, I know the answer. That was easy. A book that was a gift. I have a lot of books that were gifts, so I'm just gonna look around and see the first one that I think a friend bought for me. What books? There's so many of them on here too. I just can't find them. Okay, this is a good one. A book that I lent to someone else. Okay, my mom has borrowed so many of my books. I'm gonna go with Daisy Jones because I mentioned it before. I'm like losing my place. This is such a waste of time. A book I read with a friend or a group. I'm gonna go with an old school one that I read with my very first book club ever. A book that has been damaged. I don't know where you are on my shelf. Oh wait, no, I already chose Harry Potter. Oh no. Where are my... Here we go. Here's one. Oh my god, that Harry Potter book would have been such a good one. A book I got on sale / discounted. I don't know why I put this one in here. Why am I going to remember that? A book I got on sale or discounted. I don't know. I'm seeing more books that were gifts from friends, but not ones that I got on sale. I think I got this on sale. Maybe, possibly. We'll see. A book I associate with a song. Oh my god, again, The Hunger Games is the perfect one for this, but now I have to really think about it. Books I associate with a song. So like something that was like my favorite song when I was listening to it. Oh man, I already chose Mortal Instruments, which would have been the easiest one. Oh, I totally associate many songs with this one. A book I got years ago that I probably wouldn't buy now. So that's like, I feel like there's got to be a contemporary on my shelf, or like a science fiction-y book. That could be one of them. Okay, let's go with this one. A book that you associate with a specific time in your life. This one is right in front of me. It has to be, right? A book I associate with a specific time in my life. No, it's over here. I like broke up some of my bookshelves for the first time ever. A book I used to like, but I don't anymore. I've been unhauling books a lot more lately, so I don't know what would fit here, because now I get rid of the ones that I don't like. I don't know. I feel like I get rid of all the ones that I don't like. Guys, I'm wasting time. I feel like I have less favorites on this shelf. Books I used to like. What did I used to like that I still have? I feel like I don't have anything for this. Oh, okay, this is a fair one. And the newest book on your shelf, which is going to be... Okay, it's definitely The Toll. This is where I keep all of my books that I've recently got. So I guess the newest one would be considered this. And we're done. So I finished collecting all of my books in just over 10 minutes, which I think is a fairly decent time for a challenge of this size. First up is the oldest book on your shelf. Now, while this could mean like the oldest published book, I took it to mean the book that I have owned the longest, and that is Chasing Redbird by Sharon Creech. This is a book that I read multiple times throughout my childhood, and I sort of had it passed down to me from my sister who read it before me, but it's one of the longest lasting books in my collection since I was probably like 7 or 8. There's actually a name in this book, so it's even older than I thought. It looks like his name is Dennis. Shout out Dennis, wherever you are. A book I read in 2013 is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This was actually one of the first series that I had read in my, what I consider to be a renaissance of reading when I first started getting back into books and young adult literature for the first time. After reading The Mortal Instruments 4 times in a row from my library, I decided to try out a different popular series with The Hunger Games. So I don't know if I'd be where I am as a reader if I didn't read The Hunger Games when I did. For a book I read in 2014, I have The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I read the first 2 books in this series from my library, and I have a distinct memory of putting them on my bookshelf to film a bookshelf challenge back in 2014. It might have been like my 5th video, and I wanted to include The Darkest Minds even though I didn't own it yet. For a book I read in 2015, I picked Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. I got this book from my best friend Michael from Michael Book Line. He actually gave it to me the very first time that we met. We became friends on BookTube, and the first time we ever hung out, he invited me to go see the Insurgent movie early, and so I had gone to his office to meet him for the first time, and he handed me a stack of books, and Made You Up was in it. Now, as suspected, in the midst of filming, I actually did not read Stalking Jack the Ripper in 2016. It came out in 2016, but I read it for the Biennial Bibliothon in 2017, so like, I guess decrease a point from me there. As for a book I read in 2017, Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. As I had said, I went to YALLFest in 2017, and I had met Libba Bray, but I believe I had only read The Diviners, and so after meeting her and seeing how amazing she is in person, it totally inspired me to continue on with the series, and now I'm going to be rereading The Diviners as a part of the Diviners Club read-along, which you should join if you're interested. A book I read in 2018 is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I believe Queen of Nothing, the last book in the series, actually comes out tomorrow, so I'm super excited for it. And for a book I read in 2019, I went with The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson, which is the sequel to Truly Devious, and it came out earlier this year. I read this in January and just loved it so much that I think it'll probably just make my favorites of the year list, and I am just like dying to read the final installment, which I believe comes out next January. A book I've read more than once is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I actually read this book twice in 2018, as well as Arch Enemies, the sequel, twice in 2018, and I'm currently reading Supernova. So you can expect a reading vlog very soon for that, and a spoiler-filled review to come in the future. A book I have waited over a year to be published is The Toll by Neal Shusterman, which just recently came out and is finally in my hands. I listened to the audiobooks for Scythe and Thunderhead in the very beginning of 2018, and it was already excruciating imagining waiting a year until the following January when I had predicted it would come out. And then I guess something happened where the book like got pushed back. I don't think there was ever like an official announcement. It just like didn't come out. And my Goodreads review for The Toll that has like a ton of likes is literally just me saying like, where is this book? But it finally got released this November, and it is absolutely going to be my very next read. That's almost like 2 years, almost a full 2 years I waited for that book. It better be good. A book I read on vacation or away from home is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. This is obviously a book I have read many, many times, so many that I've lost count, but the very first time I read it, like around when it was released, I was camping with my family. I've mentioned this in at least 1 or 2 videos before, but I finished it in 2 days, and I have a lot of really fond memories just snuggled up in a cabin right by a little pond, reading by the fire at night, and just devouring this absolutely incredible book. For a book I got someplace special, so like meaning anything that's not my local bookstore or an online bookstore, somewhere that is like really significant, is The Midnight Air by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Reese Brennan. I picked this up when I was in Paris over the summer at Galgani Books. I discovered how much I love getting books as souvenirs from different places because absolutely every time I look at this book, I'm gonna remember I got it in in Paris. For a book that made you cry, I went with a really easy answer because I was just getting a little stressed, and that is City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare, which is obviously the conclusion to like my favorite series of all time. Are you new here? So I read this book in the span of maybe like 8 hours over the course of like a day and a half. My favorite memory about City of Heavenly Fire is that I took the release day off from school. I like just totally was like, bye, I'm not coming in. But I actually did go into school for like my free period to work on my ceramic mortal cup. So it was like May, we were getting close to the end of the year and I really wanted to finish it. So I skipped school to read City of Heavenly Fire, then went into school to work on my Mortal Cup, stopped by my English class, which I was skipping and being like, hey, I'm going home to read, and then I went home and finished City of Heavenly Fire. Quite possibly one of my most dramatic moments as a reader. Next is a book you associate with a certain food. And I wrote this question specifically because I have this very weird association with this food and this book, which is The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. So the food that I have a weird association to with this book is this like grocery store brand deli pasta salad. It's so weird. Basically, I like really liked this pasta salad that was like had oil and peppers and whatnot. And I would just get it every single week. My mom would buy it at the grocery store and I'd always have it for lunch. And I ate it so much that I started to get really sick of it. And I have very distinct memories of sitting at a specific table on campus in college, reading this book on like my break from school, eating my dinner, and it was that pasta and I was really sick of it. So that's my very bizarre association to that random pasta salad that I have not had since, and this book. A book I read in one sitting is Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is a book I also read as a part of one of the biannual Bibliothon readathons. I think the challenge was to read a graphic novel, and I feel like this is just a safe one for me to say I read in a sitting because it's so short, but it's actually a really great collection of short horror stories, so if that's something you're interested in, this is totally a book you'll want to pick up. A book that was a gift is A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. This was a gift from Michael Booklion, who I mentioned before. We actually filmed a video where we did like a book shopping challenge. I think it was a 3-minute book shopping challenge. I'll link that video down below if you want to check it out. Where we had 3 minutes in a bookstore to pick out books for one another, and one of the ones Michael picked out for me is A Great and Terrible Beauty, obviously because I'm a big Libba Bray fan, and I have not read this one yet, but it's something that I would like to get to at some point. A book you have lent to someone else to read. Now, I am pretty lenient with allowing my books to be lent out to friends. I just don't lend them out to people I don't see very frequently, but one book that I have now lent to 2 people, and possibly 3 or 4 in the future, is of course Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I got my mom to read it and my sister to read it. Although I'm pretty protective of my signed books and lending them out from people, this is one that I would totally lend out to like anyone that's seriously interested, just because I think it is such an impactful story and I want more people to read it. And I love being the person that gives someone a good book to read. You know, there's like definitely some pride to be taken in that. For a book I read with a friend or a group, I'm going with the first ever book club book that I read, and that is Divergent by Veronica Roth. I read this with my high school book club that I only really read a few books with them because I joined at the very end of my senior year. But we read Divergent together and it was a great experience because it was my first time ever being in an in-person book club. You know what I also want to say about this book? I was initially invited into this book club by my friend Caitlin, who is someone I had been friends with since like 6th grade, and we were always readers and big Harry Potter fans together. So when she was in that book club and knew that I was interested in YA, she invited me, and it was like one of the greatest things I did my senior year. Caitlin passed away some time ago, which is extremely sad, but I think I'll always probably associate Divergent with her a little bit just because I had so much fun in that book club with her and all of her other classmates. For a book that has been damaged, I initially wanted to go with this destroyed copy of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix that I have shown a few times on my channel, and I keep it just for the nostalgia's sake of how wrecked it is. But I couldn't pick Harry Potter, so I'm going with a significantly more anticlimactic damaged book, and that is Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, which does not even look damaged from the front. You want to know where the only bit of damage is? Here. I definitely have better stories of how books got damaged, but this one just always stands out to me because my rabbit that I had at the time started eating it and he just peeled off this tiny bit, and it infuriated me so much because of what he had done to other books. Like, he had totally destroyed covers. He's the reason for this as well, as I'm sure you could have guessed. For a book that you got discounted or on sale, I went with Far From You by Tess Sharp, as I bought this on Thrift Books, which is like an online book retailer that sells secondhand books for pretty cheap. But see, the best part of it is, when it finally came in from Thrift Books and I was going to put it on my shelf, I realized I had already bought it. So I'm not really sure the discount mattered in the end. A book you associate with a song. Who doesn't associate Supermassive Black Hole with Twilight? Baseball scene. Iconic. A book you got years ago but probably would not buy now. For that one, I went with Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is actually a book I have not bought myself. It was a gift from a friend. Honestly, I don't know much about this book. I think it's like a science fiction novel. It just doesn't really seem like it would be my thing, but I've been keeping it around just in case, you know, the mood ever strikes. Definitely not a book that I would pick up for myself, especially now. For a book you associate with a specific time in your life, I went with a very easy answer, which is This Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales. I just really connected with this book when I read it in high school. I felt like it captured so much of my being and my experience, and I was really able to relate to this character on a very personal level for the first time, and that meant so much to me with everything I was going through at the time. A book you used to like but don't anymore, and I'm gonna kind of extend this to like a series as opposed to just one book, but that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I read Throne of Glass for the first time in 2014, and I really liked it. Like, I actually have a super old Throne of Glass review on my channel, and I think I gave it like 5 stars. Loved the first 2 books in this series, and as I've stated multiple times, Heir of Fire put me in a reading slump not once, but twice. And I feel like I still really did enjoy the story of both Throne and Glass and Crown of Midnight. Like, those are really good books to me that I still consider today. But the series is just one that I've totally lost interest in and will probably never complete. And I would say that I used to consider myself to like the series, but now if you asked me if I like Throne of Glass, I'd probably say no. And finally, the newest book on my shelf, which, as I said, was The Toll, because that was like the most recent one that had been delivered to my door. But before that, like the same day, actually just earlier in the day, I got Astro Poets by Alex Dimitrov and Dorothy Lasky. This is like a guide to the zodiac and astrology type book. And I picked it up because I'm really interested in learning more about it, and I just thought this would be a great medium for me to understand it. So that concludes the history of my bookshelf challenge. So first, I'm gonna tag Jessie the Reader and Haley in Bookland because I feel like I can always count on them for a fun bookshelf challenge. I'm gonna tag Whitney from Whitney Novels because I know that she recently moved into a new apartment and just set up her bookshelf, so I'd be really interested to see her go through the ones that she has arranged. I'm going to tag Tabby from Keeping Tabs as she created the, I believe it was the Do I Have That Book challenge. And I feel that was the video that inspired people to become more interested in bookish challenges again, so I'd love to see her do this take on it. Jenny from This Story Ain't Over because I just really love her bookshelves. I think they always look great in her videos. I'm gonna challenge Spencer from Common Spence because he recently started posting some videos again, and he's one of my like absolute favorite booktubers, so I'd love to challenge him to post a video and like do this one. I'm gonna tag Sandy from Sandy Reads a Lot because she is another like more old school booktuber who has been here for a really long time and has seen like the rise and fall of these types of challenges. And I'm also gonna tag Run on the Road for the same reason because she's actually one of my first booktubers that I really ever started watching, and she's still making videos to this day. And of course, I'm gonna challenge anyone who actually is interested in doing this video themselves. I'd love to see what books you pull off and the stories you have attached to them. And of course, in the comments below, let me know any of your thoughts on the books that I talked about in this video. Maybe you guys have some similar stories attached to them. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for a new one. Bye!